So the last time these boys were in action was at the home of Rallycross, Lydden Hill. Let's join Simon for a quick recap about what happened.
Lydden Hill was to be a battle royale between John Lyne and Craig Lomax. By the end of the final, though, it was John Lyne who worked his way through to lead the pack at the checkered flag, whilst Lomax had to settle for third, losing valuable championship points to second-place man Vigolz. So, leaving Lydden Hill, it's John Lyne leading the way. Lomax slides in second, and at this late point in the season, it's impossible for third-place man Volok to catch the pair, making this a two-horse race.
So, coming into Pembrey, it's John Lyne with one hand on the trophy, but he hasn't won it just yet. As coming up just behind him is Craig Lomax, only 3 points adrift. Let's join Simon to find out what happened in the heats earlier today.
Well, the battle for the all-important grid-setting heats was shaken up at Pembrey by the arrival of Thomas Marciniak. In the first heat, John Lyne struggled to keep pace with the hot-hatch newcomer, leaving him clear to come across the line to take victory in the first heat. In the second heat, the usual hot-hatch battles got underway. Slavomir Volok keen to make sure he holds on to his third place in the championship, but up front it was Craig Lomax taking the win in heat 2. Heat 3, however, will be one Lomax will be keen to forget, being spun around over the grass after tangling with Chris Harper and ended up with a front right puncher. Through the dust came championship leader John Lyne, followed closely to the flag by newcomer Jack Thorne, who took victory in heat 3. All of this meant that big entry left us with a B final, and of course the winner of the B final would qualify and get onto the back of the A final. So an awful lot to play for. On the left, Paul Davis; in the middle, Steve Wells in his Fiesta, then Damon Fatchett behind him, Paul Maybourne. Little hot hatches scramble for grip as they get away. Great start it was for Damon Fatchett though, in the Spunky Monkey car. Edges across to the right hand side and already starting to edge away. Paul Davis was pushing hard to try and get back on terms. Meanwhile, behind, the scrap between the other two drivers, Maybourne and Wells, continued. Bouncing across the grass though, bouncing across the dirt, Paul Davis had got himself ahead, and even though had a lot of understeer through the right-hander, managed to keep it neat and tidy. We heard earlier from Mad Mark what a challenge it is here, this technical section on the infield, and the lap ended up with that wonderfully fast Honda corner, the one even Ayrton Senna used to like. It was a lead, he wasn't to surrender, despite huge amounts of understeer, as a number of these drivers suffered from. He kept it all neat and tidy. It was Davis who was to edge his car across the line, and most importantly, get himself, therefore, on the back of the A final. A great drive by Paul Davis, very, very accomplished after an initial challenge by Damon Fatchett. So, the track being watered down just to try and get rid of some of the dust. We go on to the all-important A final, and it is the championship leader John Lyne on pole position ahead of very impressive newcomer Thomas Marciniak, and there is the other championship challenger Craig Lomax, looking very calm and relaxed, very cool with his shades on. Good grid of cars, as you can see, a very French element as there always is. Away we go for the A final. Now, this is going to be all important. Lyne or Lomax, who's going to get the best of the whole shot? Well, at the moment it is John Lyne ahead of Marciniak, with Lomax getting very, very tight through the first right-hander and not getting the best of exits. Look to your left, there goes Marciniak, another Polish driver, a good friend of Slavomir Volok. That's how come he's been encouraged to come over here and join in the fun. Usually does some drifting and a bit of rallying, and plenty of contact there in the middle from another newcomer, Jack Thorne, barging his way past Chris Harper. We saw Harper tangle with Lomax early on. Now, where's John Lyne gone? He disappears out wide, and he's dropped down behind Marciniak. That's very significant because it means it gives that man there, Lomax, an advantage. He gets past. So Craig Lomax now ahead, and that is so important at this late stage in the championship. Marciniak, though, looking very calm at the front, starting to edge away a little bit from Lomax. Now, where has John Lyne disappeared to now? Right on board our championship leader. Let's see if we can work out what's happened here as he goes to the right-hander. He's quite a long way back now. Now, this is a replay of earlier on in the lap. There's the first point where we saw Lyne running very, very wide through the first of the right-handers, getting out onto the damp bit. Perhaps that area where they've moistened the circuit to improve the level of grip in terms of getting rid of the dust has actually worked against him. See here, just turns in, the back of the car gets loose. Remember, front-wheel drive cars, the rear, of course, no weight on it, so the technique the drivers use is to keep their right foot heavily down to try and drag the front round and to get a bit of traction to push the back into the ground, and the opposite happens there for Line. The back hops up into the air over the bump. You can see that bump from the view that we had of Craig Lomax's car, and it must have flicked Line's car just up into the air high enough that it lost all grip at the back and spat him off to the left. So frustration for our championship leader, but elation, I think, for Craig Lomax. He now knows he's in a great position championship-wise. Current BTRDA champion, Team Geriatric, doing a superb job of preparing this little car. We heard from him earlier how much he loves his motorsport, how committed he is. It's a real team effort himself. His brother Shane and the rest of the guys working hard, but very, very impressive drive from Marciniak. His debut ends up in victory. So the results confirmed as Marciniak wins by 0.55 ahead of Lomax. Another impressive debutant, Jack Thorne. Then Line recovers to fourth ahead of